Most people quit long before the dream even has a chance to breathe. They start with fire in their hearts, ambition in their minds, and a vision that keeps them awake at night. But somewhere along the road, the pressure gets heavy. The doubts get louder. The world starts whispering that maybe, just maybe, average is enough. But deep down, you know the truth. You didn't wake up early when everyone else was sleeping just to become average. You didn't push through the days when everything felt impossible just to blend in with the crowd. You didn't carry the weight of your goals, your fears, your sacrifices, and your sleepless nights just to stop now. Think about the journey that brought you here. Think about every moment when quitting would have been easier. Every time you were tired. Every time you felt alone. Every time someone doubted you, laughed at you, or told you to be realistic. Yet here you are, still standing, still fighting, still chasing something bigger than comfort, bigger than fear, bigger than the expectations that the world tried to place on your shoulders. And that says something about you. Because average people stop when things get hard. Average people make excuses when life pushes back. Average people settle for what is safe, what is familiar, what is comfortable. But you didn't come this far to be average. You came this far because there's something inside you that refuses to quit. Something inside you that refuses to accept a small life. A voice inside your mind that keeps repeating the same message over and over again. Keep going, even when the road is long. Even when progress feels slow. Even when the results aren't showing yet. Because the truth is, greatness is never built in comfort. It is built in the moments when you decide that your purpose is bigger than your fear. And right now, this moment is where that decision matters most. Because the world is full of people who started strong and finished ordinary. People who had talent but lost discipline. People who had dreams but lost belief. But you're not here to be one of them. You're here because something inside you knows that quitting now would erase everything you fought for. Every sacrifice would mean nothing. Every late night, every early morning, every step forward would lose its meaning if you decided to settle. And that is why today is not the day you slow down. Today is the day you remind yourself who you are. The person who refuses to be average. The person who refuses to settle. The person who didn't come this far, just to come this far. There comes a moment in every person's life when something inside them wakes up. A quiet realization begins to grow in the mind, and it refuses to be ignored. It is the moment when you look around at the world, at the routines, the limitations, the expectations placed on you, and you begin to feel that there must be something more. Not more comfort, not more excuses, but more purpose. More growth. More from yourself than you ever demanded before. At first, this realization can feel uncomfortable. Because the moment you understand that you're capable of more, you can no longer hide behind the idea of being average. Average becomes a choice. And deep down, something inside you begins to reject that choice. You start to notice the difference between people who simply exist and those who truly live with intention. The difference between those who drift through life and those who decide to shape their destiny with discipline, courage, and relentless effort. This moment doesn't arrive with applause. It doesn't come with a spotlight or a crowd cheering your name. Most of the time, it happens quietly. Maybe during a late night when you are alone with your thoughts. Maybe after a failure that forces you to question everything. Maybe when you see someone achieve something incredible and a voice inside you whispers, "Why not you?" That question begins to echo in your mind, challenging every limit you once accepted. And suddenly, you start to see things differently. The comfort zone that once felt safe now feels like a cage. The routine that once felt normal now feels like stagnation. You begin to understand that average is not a destiny written for you. It is a place people settle when they stop believing in their own potential. But when this realization takes hold, something powerful changes within you. Your standards rise. Your focus sharpens. Your tolerance for excuses begins to disappear. You begin to recognize that the life you want will never come from doing what everyone else is doing. It will come from pushing harder, thinking bigger, and demanding more from yourself than the world ever expected. This awareness becomes a spark, and that spark becomes a fire. a fire that refuses to let you settle for less than the person you know you can become. Because once you truly realize that you are not meant to live an average life, you can never go back to pretending that average is enough. The journey to becoming something greater than average is never easy, and anyone who tells you otherwise has never truly walked the path. Behind every moment of progress, there are sacrifices that most people will never see. Long nights when the world was asleep and you were still working. Early mornings when your body begged for rest, but your goals demanded discipline. Moments when doubt tried to convince you that quitting would be easier than continuing. Success is often celebrated in public, but the struggle is always private. People see the results, but they rarely see the price that was paid to achieve them. They don't see the days when motivation disappeared and you had to rely on pure discipline to move forward. They don't see the times when things didn't work out, when plans failed, when progress felt invisible and the finish line seemed impossibly far away. Every person chasing something meaningful will face moments where the road feels lonely. Friends may not understand the sacrifices you're making. Some people may even question why you're pushing yourself so hard. They might tell you to slow down, to be satisfied, to settle into comfort like everyone else. But the truth is, comfort has never built greatness. There were moments when you had to say no to things that once felt normal. No to distractions. No to laziness. No to the habits that keep most people stuck exactly where they are. While others were choosing what felt easy, you were choosing what would make you stronger. And that choice comes with a cost. There were also moments when failure showed up uninvited. Times when your effort didn't produce immediate results. Times when it felt like you were giving everything you had and still falling short. In those moments, it would have been easy to believe the lies that fear whispers, that maybe you're not good enough, maybe you're not ready, maybe you should just stop trying. But you didn't stop. You kept going through the setbacks, through the criticism, through the exhaustion that comes from chasing something bigger than yourself. Every obstacle became a test of how badly you truly wanted the life you were working toward. Because the truth about the journey is this: every struggle, every sacrifice, every silent battle is shaping you into someone stronger than the person you were before. Each challenge builds resilience. Each setback builds wisdom. Each difficult moment prepares you for the level of success that only the most determined people ever reach. And when you look back at everything you've endured, every moment where you refuse to give up, you begin to realize that none of those sacrifices were meaningless. They were the proof that you were never meant to walk an ordinary path. There comes a point in the journey where you must make a decision that will define the direction of your entire life. It is the moment when you stop negotiating with mediocrity. The moment when you look at the comfortable excuses, the easy options, the safe path that everyone else is taking, and you decide that it is no longer acceptable for you. Mediocrity has a quiet way of creeping into people's lives. It doesn't arrive loudly or forcefully. Instead, it whispers small lies that sound reasonable. It tells you that doing the bare minimum is enough. It tells you that waiting until tomorrow won't hurt. It convinces you that staying comfortable is safer than pushing yourself into the unknown. And before people realize it, those small compromises begin to shape their entire future. One skipped opportunity becomes a habit of hesitation. One excuse becomes a pattern of delay. One moment of settling becomes a lifetime of wondering what could have been. But when you truly decide to reject mediocrity, everything begins to change. Your standards rise. Your mindset shifts. You stop asking what is easy and start asking what is necessary. You stop looking for shortcuts and start building the discipline required to achieve something meaningful. Rejecting mediocrity means understanding that comfort can be dangerous. Because comfort slows growth. It weakens ambition. It convinces people that average results are acceptable as long as life feels easy. But the truth is that nothing extraordinary has ever been built in a comfort zone. The people who achieve greatness in any field share one common trait. They refuse to accept ordinary effort from themselves. When others stop, they keep pushing. When others complain, they keep working. When others settle for good enough, they continue searching for better. This mindset doesn't mean the journey becomes easier. In fact, it often becomes harder, because rejecting mediocrity means taking responsibility for your potential. It means you can no longer blame circumstances, luck, or the opinions of others for the life you're creating. You begin to realize that the difference between an average life and an extraordinary one is not talent, background, or even opportunity. The difference is the willingness to demand more from yourself every single day. More discipline when motivation disappears. More effort when progress feels slow. More focus when distractions try to pull you away from your purpose. And once you adopt this mindset, going back to mediocrity becomes impossible. Because you begin to see it everywhere. In the excuses people make. In the fear that keeps them small. In the comfort that slowly steals their potential. But you know something they don't. You know that settling for average is not safety. It is surrender. And when you refuse to surrender your potential, you start building a life that stands far beyond the limits of ordinary expectations. There is something powerful that separates the people who keep going from the people who give up. It is not always talent. It is not always intelligence. And it is rarely perfect circumstances. What truly separates them is the fire that burns inside their mind. The quiet but relentless determination that refuses to let them stop when the journey becomes difficult. This inner fire is not something that appears overnight. It is built through struggle, through setbacks, through moments when the easiest option would have been to walk away. Every challenge you face adds fuel to it. Every obstacle strengthens it. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, that fire grows stronger. Most people rely on motivation to move forward, but motivation is temporary. It comes and goes depending on how someone feels in the moment. Some days motivation is strong, but other days it disappears completely. And when motivation fades, average people stop moving. But the people who achieve extraordinary things understand something deeper. They know that the real power comes from commitment, not motivation. Commitment means showing up even when you don't feel like it. It means continuing the work even when progress feels slow and invisible. It means keeping your focus on the long-term vision when the short-term struggle tries to break your spirit. That is the inner fire. It is the voice that reminds you why you started when doubt begins to creep into your mind. It is the strength that pushes you forward when fatigue tells you to rest and excuses try to convince you that stopping is justified. It is the belief that even when results are not immediate, every step forward is building something greater beneath the surface. This fire also creates resilience, because the journey toward greatness will always test you. There will be moments when things go wrong. Plans will fail. Opportunities will slip away. There will be days when it feels like the world is pushing against every step you take. Without that inner fire, those moments can break a person's confidence. But with it, those same moments become fuel. Instead of stopping, you grow stronger. Instead of doubting yourself, you sharpen your focus. Instead of letting obstacles define your limits, you let them strengthen your determination. And over time, this mindset transforms the way you approach life. Challenges stop looking like barriers and start looking like opportunities to prove your resilience. Hard work stops feeling like a burden and starts feeling like the path toward becoming the person you were meant to be. Because when that fire truly lives inside you, quitting stops being an option, settling stops being acceptable, and the voice inside your mind continues to push you forward, reminding you that the reason you have come this far is because something within you refuses to burn out when the journey demands everything you have at some point in the journey. There comes a moment where thinking is no longer enough. Dreaming is no longer enough. Hoping for a better future is no longer enough. That moment is when you make a declaration, not to the world, but to yourself. A decision that becomes a line in the sand. A promise that no matter what happens, you will not go back to the person who is willing to settle for less. This declaration is powerful because it changes the way you see every challenge in front of you. When you decide that average is no longer acceptable, every obstacle becomes something you must overcome rather than something you can avoid. Every setback becomes a lesson instead of a reason to stop. The moment you declare your commitment to greatness, Your mindset shifts from hesitation to determination. Many people move through life waiting for permission, waiting for the right time, waiting for the perfect opportunity, waiting for someone to tell them they are ready. But the truth is that moment rarely arrives. The people who build extraordinary lives are the ones who decide they are ready long before the world believes in them. This declaration is not about arrogance or proving something to others. It is about honoring the potential that lives inside you. It is about recognizing that the dreams in your mind were placed there for a reason. When you declare that you will not settle for average, you begin to take full ownership of your future. Your habits change. Your priorities shift. The way you spend your time becomes more intentional. You begin to understand that every day is an opportunity to move closer to the life you want. Every action either builds momentum or destroys it. Every decision either strengthens your discipline or weakens it. And once you become aware of this, you start treating your goals with the seriousness they deserve. The declaration also creates clarity. It reminds you why you started when the road becomes difficult. It gives you strength when doubt tries to cloud your vision. Because when you have truly decided that quitting is no longer an option, the only direction left is forward. You stop negotiating with fear. You stop shrinking your dreams to fit into other people's expectations. You stop measuring your potential by the limitations that once held you back. Instead, you step forward with confidence, knowing that the journey ahead may be hard, but the reward of becoming the best version of yourself is worth every sacrifice. And when you stand in that mindset, when you look at everything you have endured, everything you have learned, and everything you are still willing to fight for, you say it with absolute certainty. I didn't come this far to be average. So if this message lit a fire inside you, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Fire.